Welcome to the Monday, March 20th regular business board meeting of the Board of School Directors. It's great to see everyone. I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Copeland.
Good evening, everyone. There seem to be a lot of children here. I think that's a good thing. We have 3 presentations this evening, and I think, let's see, where shall we begin? Do you guys want to start? Okay, well then that takes care of that. Our first presentation will be our FLES Elementary School program. Who am I turning this over to? Is it Dr. Everslag or? Well, somebody, Mr. Cody, okay.
Good evening, everyone. I would first like to thank all of our teachers for organizing this event tonight for you, and especially our students who have been working very, very hard all school year, as well as thanking the parents for being able to bring your children out this evening for this special presentation of our FLES program. This evening, you're going to hear from quite a few teachers who work with these students, these fabulous students, every day, as well as hearing from the students themselves through song, through play, through skits, and some of the things that they do every day throughout the classroom. I'd like to introduce Rob Mapes, who is our FLES teacher at Belmont Hills, and turn that over to him so that he can get this evening started for you.
Hello. Bonjour, hola. So my name is Rob Mapes, and I am the French teacher at Belmont Hills. My colleagues and I would first of all like to thank the board for this opportunity to present our program, the Foreign Language in the Elementary School program, which is actually now in its 20th year. So for the past 2 decades, Lower Merion has provided an innovative For the past 2 decades, Lower Merion has provided an innovative and award-winning world language program for its elementary school students. We are the longest-running FLES program in Pennsylvania, and we are a leader in our field. The FLES program continues to support the district's strategic plan by creating an awareness of cultures from other parts of the world. Using a multidisciplinary and content-enriched approach, the FLES program meets the needs of all learners and makes connections between French or Spanish and English. Tonight, you will see a wide variety of activities that take place in the FLES classroom. While they are fun, they are also best practices for world language acquisition. Before we continue, again, I want to thank all the students and the parents for lending us your children tonight. I know it's past their bedtime, and we appreciate it. We'll deal with it tomorrow. Okay, we'll begin with a glimpse into our lessons with video created by Senior Roland Sarko from Gladwin. I think I got it. froze. Okay, it froze, but we can continue. Oh no. All right. It's we'll continue. Yeah, exactly. So my second graders from Belmont Hills are now going to, they have a song that they would like to sing. It's called Une Patate. We have our French market coming up in May. And this will be one of the songs that they will be singing for everyone. Levez-vous.
When your console handlebar. Well, la boca.
Exactly. Okay. We're good? All right. Second grade, you ready?
Une patate avec des yeux, avec un nez, avec une bouche. Une patate avec des doigts, avec des jambes et un chapeau. Deux patates. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait. Deux patates avec des yeux, avec des nez, avec des bouches. Deux patates avec des bras, avec des jambes et un chapeau. Deux patates. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait. Trois patates. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait. Qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait, qui aime le sait.
Bravo! Okay, second graders, you can go find your parents.
So much.
So next,
Were we on TV?
yes, you're on TV, Max. Yes, absolutely, you're a star. Okay, next up, we're going to have Senora Diana Melendez and her students from Penn Win taking part in a total physical response activity.
Thanks, Mr. Williams. Nice meeting you.
for giving us our the bag. Okay, me llamo señora Melendez. My name is señora Melendez. I'm one of the Spanish teachers at Penguin Elementary School. And we're going to do a little activity related with body parts. First, we're going to introduce ourselves. Me llamo Fernando. Me llamo Kate. Me llamo Joseph. Me llamo Lily. Me llamo Maggie. Me llamo Rina. Me llamo George. Me llamo Milagro. Cabeza, hombros, piernas, pies, piernas, pies. Cabeza, hombros, piernas, pies, piernas, pies. Ojos, orejas, boca y nariz. Cabeza, hombros, piernas, pies, piernas, pies. Nariz, nariz. Ojos, ojos. Orejas, orejas. Cabeza, cabeza. Nariz, nariz. Hombros, hombros. Boca, boca, boca. Hombros, hombros. Piernas, piernas. Pies, pies. Nariz, nariz. Ojos, ojos. Cabeza, cabeza, cabeza. Then manos, 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 manos. Nariz, nariz. Ojos, ojos. Orejas, orejas, orejas. Excelente. Se duele los piernas. No, me duele las piernas. Se duele la boca. No, se duele la cabeza. No me duele la cabeza. Se duelen los ojos. No me duele. Se duele la nariz. No me duele la nariz. Se duelen los pies. No se duele. Se duelen los hombros. No me duelen los hombros. Se duelen los ojos. No me duelen los ojos. Cabeza, hombros, piernas, pies, piernas, pies. Cabeza, hombros, piernas, pies, piernas, pies. Ojos, orejas, boca y nariz. Cabeza, hombros, piernas, pies, piernas, pies.
Okay. So Madame Molly Arnold from Kinwood will showcase a 5th grade biography presentation.
Bonsoir.
Marie Curie par Vivian Collins. Je m'appelle Marie Curie. Ça va bien parce que je suis fière. Mon anniversaire, c'est le 7 novembre. J'ai 67 ans. Mais je suis morte. Je suis née en 1867. J'habite à Paris. J'aime la science. Je déteste le sexisme. Je suis célèbre parce que je suis scientifique. Je voudrais accepter mon prix Nobel. Des questions?
Bravo. We're now going to see a Spanish Mercado presentation from the students of Senora Angeles Silva Sanchez, Senor Kale Mara, and Senora Gail Weaver.
This is a representation of what we grew up in Valley with the Mercado Day. So this is a little sample of what children see at the outdoors market in a Hispanic country. And these are some of the products they might buy. So we have our sellers and our vendors, and it's just going to be an interchange between them. And they're going to buy whatever they want, and anyway, enjoy. Just.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien, gracias. ¿Te gustaría comprar? Me gustaría una flor. ¿Cuál quieres? Ese. Muy bien. Muy bien. Aquí está. Aquí está tu flor. Gracias. De nada. Adiós. Hasta luego. Buenas tardes. Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, gracias. ¿Qué te gustaría comprar? Me te gustaría un flor. Por favor. ¿Cuál quieres? Este. Muy bien. ¿Tu pasaporte? Un pasaporte. Aquí está tu flor. Gracias. De nada. Hola. Buenas tardes. Hola, buenas tardes. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, gracias. ¿Qué te gustaría comprar? Me gustaría un sweater. ¿Cuál quieres? Este. Muy bien. ¿Tu pasaporte, por favor? Aquí está. Gracias. Un tu tatuaje. Un tu separar. De nada. Adiós. Hasta luego.
Before our final activity tonight, I just want to point out that the two educators who put our program together 20 years ago are in the back, Maria Wells and Sandy Dunn. So they're right there to say, bonjour, voilà. And finally, I believe Senora Diana Melendez is going to have her students lead us in a goodbye song in Spanish.
They already left.
They left?
They already left.
All right, well, we can do it. We'll do it in French. How about that? Au revoir les garçons, au revoir les filles, au revoir mes amis, monsieur va partir. À la prochaine, à demain. Bonne journée, c'est la fin de la classe de français. Hey! Merci, au revoir. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Thanks for coming out this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your presentations and your time.
Okay, we have another presentation. Glad I don't have to follow that.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the things that we've unfortunately had to put off a couple of times is we wanted to do a monthly presentation at the Education Committee meeting of our strategic plan progress. So it's been bumped for time, but we're all set for where we are with an update. So I'll turn it over to Megan Schaefer.
All right, thank you. Good evening. I forgot my guitar. Apologies. Try to make it as entertaining as possible, but I am excited to be here to talk about the strategic plan once again. And I represent a wonderful team. I feel like it's a district-wide team, and it is comprised of educators, teachers, administrators, support staff, all have a hand in what we do relative to this plan. So hopefully I'll represent well on their behalf tonight. And I'll also call upon Dr. Eveslag and Mr. Potton to support me with any questions that you may have following this presentation, which I'll begin. As just a reminder for those who may not have been present for previous updates, one of the things that we like to continue to focus on is the strategic plan that was developed a few years ago now, was always intended to be a visionary piece that would guide both sort of how we thought about the products that we were creating with our programs in our classrooms, but also just thinking about how we do our work day in and day out. It was intended to be a point of reference for us that we could use in a variety of ways, in a variety of settings, and relative to a variety of decision points. So we always like to revisit that because it does remind us that it's the whole of our work. The work that we did last summer sort of yielded the transformative goals that you see in front of you, which drove a good bit of implementation work we did this year with our GO team, and where we tried to translate this big picture strategic plan into the real work in the classroom and impact students in a way that we could say, look, what we talked about a few years ago is really touching all of our students down in the classroom through what we called a unit upgrade process, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. The GO team, which we refer to endearingly, is really our implementation arm of the strategic plan at this point in time. So we have pathway teams, and I'll talk a little bit about those, but those teams filter sort of ideas and concepts ready for implementation to the GO team. We think the GO team which is comprised of primarily teachers and administrators, is best poised to decide how are we going to translate this to teachers and really get the vision into the classroom. So the GO team, led by Mr. Potton, has done some amazing work this year, particularly around those unit upgrades, which again the intent was to take those transformative goals, apply them to a unit of instruction, and upgrade it and look at it in a different way so that we're delivering the instruction a little bit differently than we did before. We're upgrading it. We're looking for ways to improve it that were consistent with the strategic plan. And we are proud to say that all of our educators, all of our teachers have engaged in this process and created upgraded units that they're now implementing with the support from their administrators, support from their department chairs, support from their colleagues in terms of giving feedback and continuing that process. We are looking now for ways to house those upgrades so that they may be shared among our schools in the district, and the cycle we expect and hope will continue. So we're very proud of our process and our progress around the unit upgrade this year to date. Also, another arm of our strategic plan implementation work relates to research and development. This year, we have 3 teams focused on the areas that you see up there: mindfulness, school start time, and elementary recess time, which have been areas that our educators have asked us to look at, our community has asked us to look at, and we've done so and are doing so by taking teams led by, in 2 of the 3 cases, by Dr. Christina Paul, to gather research, to seek input, to look elsewhere at what other school districts and schools are doing relative to these issues, and then our charge is to come back to the board through the superintendent and report what those findings look like through a vehicle called a white paper. So we're basically trying to gather all of the information that we can that's relevant to making a decision about how these issues impact our population and what maybe we will do differently to address those things. I'm going to briefly talk about these and focus a little bit on the recess, because I know the elementary families in our district have received information about how that research and development task force looked at the issue of recess and is now implementing a change in the elementary school day, whereby we're looking at ensuring that all students gain a little bit additional physical activity time. We're piloting that for the remainder of this year. We're going to revisit that in May and see how we can embed that in the future in our elementary schedules. So I'm proud to say that what I'm reporting to you today is real work that's been done, that things are moving, and we're seeing, positive outcomes from this work. The mindfulness task force likewise and the sleep and school start time are continuing the research and will be are planning to report back to the board with updates in June as well. As I mentioned earlier, the pathway teams have been, I should say, were instituted last year, whereby each of the 5 pathways of the strategic plan, a team was brought together to focus on how do we implement those bold ideas and strategies under each one of those bold statements of the plan. And they've been primarily comprised of teachers, of administrators, and again, another implementation arm of the strategic plan itself. So I'm going to run through each of the pathways, where they are right now, what they've done to date, and to let you know also what will be coming to you in June as far as where we are and where we stand on a list of items that we've been looking at over the course of this year. So, for example, our transformative curriculum pathway team, as of January 2017, items that we've reported out previously involved maker spaces in all elementary schools, our new computer science seminar courses and communication design courses that have been approved. There are a number of items that are obviously they're in progress. One that I'll highlight is the overview of the assessment design framework that we're looking at together with teachers and a consultant to make sure that that's tied together with the curriculum, updates and unit upgrades that we're looking at. So there are multiple pieces to the puzzle, and we're hoping through our work that we're addressing each one of them through the vision of the plan. By May, these are the list of items that we intend to come back to the board with updates and/or recommendations. And again, just to remind you, these are being studied for potential implementation, and the recommendation in June may be we need some more time to study. It may be we're ready to go, and it may be something that we're moving to the go team for implementation, or it may be, we think this may not be maybe not next year, but we might be ready in 2 years. So the recommendation isn't necessarily a recommendation to go, but a recommendation for what's next with each of these items. Our Redefining Success. Our Redefining Success pathway team has been working diligently on looking at the elementary at the grading scales, which we adjusted last year. We are also looking at different ways of assessing student work, and there have been multiple prototypes at the high school level, particularly in the area of art, and taking little steps to pilot opportunities with teachers and classes that are ready to do that in a way that gets us some information that we can use to make better decisions moving forward as to whether those things are things that we can bring to scale or things that we just want to, support within a particular building. Again, by May 2017, I jumped ahead there, we are looking at the elementary report card upgrade for a pilot for next year, so we're excited about bringing that to you for consideration. And then some other items that we're looking at, again, from the standpoint of going back to the plan and thinking about what we intended when we talked about redefining success, is making sure that we are valuing student work in a way that gives feedback that is meaningful to students, that's meaningful to families, and that's useful. So we've been looking at a variety of ways that we can do that better. Student-driven schools is another pathway where we've done a significant amount of work, particularly by generating opportunities for students to give us feedback directly. We had heard from students that they don't want another survey. They don't want to have to fill out another survey as a means to just give feedback, which told us that let's think of a different way to approach that issue and gather some genuine feedback from students. And Mr. Putton was significantly involved in that pathway, and what they have done is sort of systematized focus groups for students in a way that took an area of concern or an interest that we had that may be related to the strategic plan, and got the students' voice into how we considered what we did moving forward. So there were a number of focus groups that have been led since last June, I think, May, June, and we're going to continue to do that. And that's one of the areas that we are intending to refer to the GO team so that we can systematize that aspect of student feedback even more so than we're doing now. So we're excited about moving that forward in the future. I'm skimming ahead to professional learning. One of the big outcomes for us this year, we hope, is a multi-year plan for professional learning that will be aligned with the strategic plan and think about professional learning differently than we have, perhaps, and in a way that we're trying to look differently about student learning. We want to look at a way of implementing a system that will be more responsive to individuals' needs around professional learning and give more choice through that process. So we are excited about moving forward with that and bringing to you more information about that in June. Finally, our Spirit of Community pathway has been working on ways to, again, systematize the great resources that the access to great resources that we have within the community. We know that many people are very interested in helping us, either volunteering their time or coming into a classroom to share experiences, and we certainly welcome that, and we want to be able to capitalize on that expertise even more than we do now. So we've been looking at ways in which we can do that and partnering with RIC, our Education Foundation, and the Scholarship Fund to figure out ways in which we can leverage the interests of all groups to bring a more robust, coherent community network that will benefit not only the district but those other groups I just mentioned. So we are continuing to work on that, and hope by May 2017 to be coming to you with a final recommendation as to moving forward. Finally, we will be reconvening our original steering committee for feedback around the topics that I just discussed in the near future. One thing that is coming up that did actually got postponed was our requirement to update our comprehensive plan. The PDE requires us to have a comprehensive plan, which we created at the same time that we developed our strategic plan. There was a 3-year timeline for that, which meant that this year was going to be the year that we began to look at that again. They have given us an extension of that time. This is not just for us, but for everyone that was in our group under review. So we will continue, though, to move forward with convening the steering committee for feedback on this work, and we're looking forward to doing that this spring. And we will continue with updates to the community through the website and also a one-page update as we did before, which we'll issue this spring as well. Our next public update to you will be in May. Questions?
Thank you, Ms. Schaefer. I'm going to open it up to questions from the board at this time on strategic plan, and thank you for keeping this update on our radar. I know we've missed a couple curriculum meetings where we ran out of time in terms of getting this information delivered to the board and the public. So again, thank you. Please, Mr. Fetterman.
Thank you, Dr. Van Lynch. Thanks for the presentation. I just had a quick question for Mr. Potton or you concerning the student-driven school aspect, and you were talking about the focus groups as opposed to the surveys that the kids didn't want to complete. I was curious if you could describe the focus group process, how they were selected, and what they're doing. Sure.
With regard to the focus groups, we worked with Dr. Christina Ayers-Paul to help us sort of make sure we understand that process. With her background in research, she was able to take our pathway team and help lead us through that. And what, part of that process was randomly selecting students, which was done at each of the schools and each of the levels. That random selection was done with the counselors and the administrative team, looking at all students and trying to make sure that they had a voice across all levels. The topic was where the students had input in terms of their learning, where they had choice, and that was the topic of focus based on the plan and based on the questions that we had from the student-driven pathway. The last piece was, Dr. Ayers-Paul trained the people that were participating in the focus groups, facilitating them. I was one of them, so she helped us to make sure the questions that we asked were not leading, that they were really focused on trying to get at what we wanted, but at the same time giving enough leeway for the students to provide, the information in their own way.
How low in grade did you go?
They started at 5th grade last year, and we did 6th and 7th grade, and then we did the high schools this past fall. Reason being, we didn't do them last year. We were told that it was not a good time of year for the high schools to be done at the end of the year with finals.
Can I just follow up quickly on Dave's question? So you said you chose the participants randomly. Mm-hmm. So you had maybe they weren't all leaders, right?
Correct.
So you had a quiet, maybe a quiet kid or an unengaged student, or so you had a broad variety.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, and we to get them out. One of the things that we talked about and realized, how do you create that comfort? So there was someone that they knew who was present during that, as well as the facilitator of the focus group.
Any additional questions? Thank you very much for the update. We appreciate it. And our next presentation, Mr. Copeland.
Yes, our last presentation, Dr. Everslag is going to give a shortened presentation. That wasn't meant to suggest that his other presentations were long, but they were. So what I've asked him to do is condense now this is, we gave a presentation on the middle school schedules at the Curriculum Committee of the Board of Education at the last meeting of the Education Committee. There's also been meetings held for parents at both Welsh Valley and Ballackinwood to gain some more input. This evening's meeting, there'll be another meeting where we'll have a discussion on the middle school schedule at the April 3rd or 5th, I can't remember.
April 5th. April 5th.
April 5th committee of the board on curriculum. This process began, I know when I first came in the fall of 2015, a consultant was hired. We stopped the process really so that we could have more of a conversation about more than just the time, but about program implementation. And then when Scott came on board with his background, both as a middle school principal and as a high school principal, I think it was a perfect combination for him to lead the discussion. And this is the fruits of that discussion. Dr. Eberstadt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Copeland. Good evening, everyone. This process, as Mr. Copeland shared, has really been going on for a long time. And when I was at Welsh Valley in 2009, we were talking about the schedule and looking at ways to align this process. But certainly we've intensified our communication and process recently and had multiple public meetings that we've shared. I'm going to go through some of those momentarily. Our abbreviated agenda this evening includes a little bit of the why behind the process, the values that drove the proposal, and some sample student schedules and that allow for some question and answer. I moved the communication plan to the beginning of the presentation because I want to just make sure that we understand where we are in the process. And Mr. Copeland framed it well, but there are some resources that are online. That, of course, is the video of March 2017 education meeting, not in the future, so I apologize for that typo. We're really forward-thinking committee that we have working. We do have building one-page summaries that have been created and shared with the buildings that are available in the main offices of both buildings and have been shared at the building-wide meetings that were hosted by the building administrations of both Bala Cynwyd and Welsh Valley. We do appreciate the community members that have joined us and shared their comments. Throughout this process, we've encouraged all community members or anybody that had questions to forward them to community comments at lmsd.org, which the board has had the opportunity to review. We are, of course, presenting this evening, and we'll present again in the Curriculum Committee in April 5th, and then finally the April 17th education meeting of the board, at which point we will seek a recommendation for the board for how we will move forward. We, of course, will have to gather information from students throughout this process to help us inform what the more student-driven schedule will look like. We'll need to gather input from them. And then, assuming approval is in place for the schedule, we will, of course, inform our 6th and 7th graders of the impact and what they'll be looking at when they return to us in the fall. We are going to encourage people to review the one-page guides that were designed to simplify the process. It's a front and back page. It's specific to each middle school with some perspective on what the community is moving from and moving to, because there are really significant differences between the schedules at the middle school. So why do we embark on this process? To really ensure that there's program equity and curriculum alignment across the middle schools and across the district. Strategic plan, as Ms. Schaefer was discussing, drives all of our thinking, and this is certainly, strategic plan, as you can see, is heavily influenced this process. Certainly, I want to be open to sharing resources across the district. Sharing resources at the high school level has really allowed us for not only program alignment, but sustainability to programs. We have a model in place that we've been able to look at as far as how the high schools went through this scheduling process and see the many and multi-levels of benefits that the district and students have seen as a result of that process. And also to make sure that we maintain the unique aspects of each school. There are definitely very fabulous, wonderful things going on at each school, and we think that that will continue, but at the same time guaranteeing certain experiences for all students across attendance areas. So some values that emerged through the process. We went through an extensive survey process of teachers, students, administrators, and parents, and asked questions about the middle school schedule and what was important to us as a community. And the values that emerged that have driven this process include, at the top of the list, maintaining teaming, which is a core value of the middle school model, including daily intervention and enrichment time for students, ensuring that core classes meet every single day, There had been some thought of perhaps not having some longer classes, but not having them meet every day. That clearly did not emerge as one of the values. So having regular visits with core classes, meeting regularly and daily was a value that emerged. We wanted to maintain class length to around 40 to 50 minutes, as it has been. We wanted to increase the level of student choice in the schedule. We wanted to make sure that there was time for teachers to collaborate, support, and program for students. And we certainly did not want to reduce in any way the time that's committed each day for each student to pursue personal development courses or specials within their program. And specifically, we had some values that emerged around specials. Like I just mentioned, ensuring every student maintain their student time in specials. Every student in the middle school at both schools currently has 2 periods every day of specials. This will continue at both schools. Every student, regardless of grade, will have a special in the morning and a special in the afternoon. We wanted to make sure we kept every program, but ensure that there was a more balanced and equitable distribution over the middle school years of those experiences for students in both schools. And we wanted to increase the opportunity for students to have input on the specials that they pursue. So through this process, there were some things that will remain the same and some things that will remain different. What will remain the same is classes, 4 or 5 core classes meeting daily, 2 specials every day, common planning time for teachers, and maintain middle school teaming. That's in place now, and that will continue. Some things that will be different is while the amount of time that students spend in specials will remain the same, there'll be a more balanced number of class meetings per special in the 6th and 7th grade, more student-directed choice for the students as they go through, increasing choice every grade from 6 to 7 to 8. Homeroom will be incorporated into period 1, which will be an 8:15 start at both schools. Class times will be consistently 46 minutes across all classes, and there will be a learn period every day, an opportunity for students to have some input, and also in how they spend that time, but also allow for intervention and enrichment daily for students. So just to give a quick snapshot of what it looks like for each grade. This is the 4-day rotating schedule that we are recommending. Both middle schools currently have a 6-day rotation. We are recommending moving that to a 4-day rotation, and there are multiple benefits from that. We did look at a 6-day cycle option that also met the values that we had established, but the 4-day rotation, a 4-day cycle actually has a greater benefits. So this looks very similar to a current 6th grade schedule. You can see that in 6th grade, students have double language arts periods. So in this student's schedule, it's on periods 1 and 5, where they have a reading and writing course, and they have 2 periods of personal development classes. They're in period 3, in this student's case, in period 8. Both 3 and 8 there are 8 different experiences that every student in 6th grade will pursue: art, computers, family and consumer science, tech ed. Those are in period 3 block. Those classes would be offered 2 consecutive days out of the 4-day cycle, and then they go 2 consecutive days to the other course. In this case, semester 1 would be 2 days of art, 2 days of computers. They would do that for the first semester of the year, and then the second semester they would have 2 days of family and consumer science, and then 2 days of tech ed. The Period 8 is the other period of the day devoted towards specials. In this case, the student will have those 4 experiences once every 4 days throughout the year: physical education, music, health, and FLES. Those programs are throughout the year to maintain consistency. We wouldn't want students to just have that for part of the year. One of the advantages of this model is while there are 8 experiences that 6th grade students will pursue, all 8 of those would result in the same number of meetings throughout the year. So students would have 45 class meetings of each of those 8 experiences across 6th grade. 7th grade schedule is similar. You'll notice that there's not a double language arts block. In this case, students begin to take world language every day in the 7th grade. That's similar to what it is now. So there are really no changes to the core classes or the world language courses in 7th or 8th grade at all for students in this new proposed schedule. The blocks for the special periods are similar to 6th grade with one exception. Because there's no longer FLES in 7th grade, there is now an open block, and you can see that in period 8 on this example. And that period 8 D block, which is every D day, there would be student choice, where students would have the option of having either a second music or a second physical education course during that block of time. This schedule also allows for students who may have challenge or another support. It could be an ISL or a support, math support, for example. They could have that experience where it not be at the expense of another personal development class. The 8th grade is similar to the 7th grade, where students would still have that choice in period 8, where they would have that choice for that 4th block. But in period 3, we now give students an option of those 4 choices: art, computers, family, consumer science, and tech ed. This is one of the neat aspects of the new schedule. It allows students to prioritize which of those experiences they'd like to study, and that if they would be awarded 2 of those courses, and those 2 courses would meet 2 days out of the 4 days throughout the entire year, which would allow for students, if they had particular interest in art, for example, to study art more deeply than they currently can in the schedule as it is. Well, there's a couple small examples of students that perhaps have a unique schedule. In this case, this is a 7th grade student who has a challenge in their schedule. This is where a challenge would fit into the schedule. Again, that would not be at the expense of another personal development experience. They would still have that same block, period 3, and period 4, you'd see that challenge class rotating into that vacant block, that D block. Another 7th grade schedule. This is a unique student who perhaps wanted to pursue double music. If this student was very interested in music in 7th grade, I was actually remiss in failing to mention that 6th graders will have the option of double music as well. So any 6th grade student coming into 6th grade will be asked if they'd like to study 2 music classes. That will be honored, and we will support that. The 6th grade experience that second music would be at the expense of another personal development class. We would engage families in that discussion of what it could replace. So families would have some input as far as what experience that would replace. This example of a 7th grade student with double music shows that you see period 3 as it has been. Period 8, that empty block for D was chosen with band. So this student chose to have chorus and band, which would be an option for this student to pursue that. And you can even greater flexibility for students with unique schedules. If they wanted to do a double music and had challenge class, they at that point would have the opportunity to pursue that. At some point, if seeking double music and having support does come at the expense of another class. However, this option gives us far greater flexibility for students to have challenge, ISL, any support classes, and it not being at the expense of another class. One of the many student-centered advantages of this schedule. So just wanted to clarify a couple misconceptions about the schedule, because we have been fielding questions at the various venues that we've presented on the schedule and from community comments. As far as what motivated the schedule, the process has been driven by the strategic plan, and not only seeking greater equity, but more student choice. Can't reinforce enough that the proposed schedule does not reduce daily time allotted to personal development classes. They'll continue to have 2 periods of specials every day. Instructional time is not being shifted away from specials to core content time at all. And the proposal ensures that every student has a balanced exposure to all specials. If you look at the one-page sheets and look at the current distribution of specials and what grades they're offered, you can see there are imbalances at both schools. And while I feel strongly that students have been getting great experiences at those schools, they have not been getting balanced experiences, and that's one of the goals of the proposal. And another misconception: there's no reduction in supports for students. They're not being reduced at all. In fact, when I've been speaking with people, I've been encouraging them to not to think of supports as being very focused on the students. Supports for students are not driven by the schedule at all. The schedule itself is not going to be a limiting factor for whatever students' sports may need, whether that be gifted support or IEP support. The level of support that's appropriate for each student is determined on an individual basis in an IEP team or a GIEP team. That has been the case, and that will continue to be the case. At this time, I'll take any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you, Dr. Everslag, again for the third presentation around
getting good.
schedules. Yes, quite good. So open it up to questions, Ms. Ackman.
Hi, and thanks for providing all this additional information and the additional outreach to parents and the community, which I think is important. Can you just give an assessment of the, with all this additional choice, just how that will impact the rotating classes with choice and kind of the student experience, just from more of a practical level, how much time we'll get just to, or just add a little bit about some of the trade-offs, just so everyone's really clear.
Sure. Well, the trade-offs, I'm going to encourage people to look at the individual student school sheets, because it's really difficult, because it's a very different experience in art at one school than the other school, for example. What I can say with certainty is that the schedule had an imbalance. So in other words, without making any comments, we were saying this experience is more valuable than this experience. This personal development experience is more valuable than this personal development experience based on what grade. And in some cases, students were not able to, were to go through a whole grade without having several experiences, and that was a concern as well. So we wanted to, introduce kind of a baseline of balance, which I think was a starting point, and then B, add that student choice piece, which is going to create imbalance as far as what experiences will look like, but that imbalance will be driven by the students. And so when introducing choice, we've kind of measured how much choice is too much choice, and can we deliver on that choice, more importantly. So what we did is ask students, assuming we're going through the scheduling process, what personal development experiences would you prioritize if given the choice? And when we asked students what they had, and the schedulers went back and pursued that, almost every student was able to get their top choice. Not everyone, but every student was able to get their either their first or second choice, which we thought was very important. And so we were able to guarantee two things. One is they're either going to get their first or second choice, and secondly, they weren't going to get their last choice. So the worst case scenario they would get would be their first and third choice, or second and third choice.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any additional questions? Ms. Bonaventura?
Hi, thanks. Sorry, I missed the earlier presentation, so I may have a few more questions. I apologize. They're mostly quick. On slide 8, you talked about the values, including equitable distribution. That second bullet point,
Right.
more balance and equitable distribution. Does that include the interdisciplinary programs?
No, the interdisciplinary programs will be able to maintain as they are. But the more balance and equitable distribution had to do with the personal development, just the specials of personal development.
Okay,
classes.
so the issue of a student going through 3 years of middle school and never winning the lottery to get into an interdisciplinary program, that's a different issue that hopefully we'll look at.
That's an issue that's worth exploring, but is not going to be resolved through this process.
Okay. And the days rotate, but the periods don't? Or do the periods rotate also?
So we built the schedule, and one of the things that as we built it that we wanted to make sure that we maintained is the opportunity for each school to put their own kind of unique stamp on this. So we came up with a very long list of things of what we were tight on and what we were going to be loose on. And one of the things that we are loose on to start is whether students, the middle schools choose to rotate periods within the day. So we put some parameters on there, where the parameters would be that that only morning classes could rotate in the morning, and afternoon class could rotate in the afternoon. They couldn't.
So basically like they do at the high school?
Correct. But they still have, that has not yet been determined, but it doesn't really affect the build of the schedule.
And this may not be addressed by this issue either, but how are you accommodating resource? So if a student needs a resource, are they still trading off social studies or?
So the resource is just like challenge. So the team would get together and decide how much support a student would need, and that could be once every 4 days, twice every 4 days, every day, 3 out of 4. And then after that level of service would be determined, which there's no minimum or maximum for that. That's an IEP team decision. Then they work with the team to decide what experiences where that would go. One of the things that we think is really an advantage of this schedule is we have more flexibility, where students wouldn't have to miss. And that it wasn't that long ago that several students missed social studies for an ISL class, for example, and that's a rarity. I won't say it never happens, but it's a rarity. So it really depends on the level of support that a student needs.
Okay, and then my last question is, there's the opportunity for double music and possibly even double PE, but is there an opportunity for like double art or double one of the other?
So there's not at this time, and one of the things that we have said is we hope to continue to explore greater ways to introduce more choice to the schedule. But we also want to make sure we can deliver on that. So we're at that point of saying, is this feasible? And we're confident that what we're offering now is feasible for students. And so we don't want to overpromise, but we're going to introduce more, we hope to introduce more choice down the road.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure.
Any questions? Please.
Sorry, this is the third time watching the presentation. I get a little bit more out of it each time. But regarding the 8th grade choice, when the classes go to full year, they have 2 of those full year electives, correct? Or is it just 1?
They have 2 of the 4, correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So if you look at, they have of art, computers, family, consumer science, and tech ed, they would rank those 1 to 4, and they would have 2 of those for the year long.
So even with having 2, there are some that might not get their first choice?
It's a small number, but that we asked them once, so.
Yeah, so that's probably fine for lots of kids and may create stress for others, and so I'm going to just repeat the question that you answered last time so that we can say it again here. Can you talk a little bit about the process of when a parent would receive the schedule and their opportunity and the ability for the school to adjust to the parents' and child's wishes should there be a problem with that schedule?
Sure. So just from a technical end, we would gather some information from students and families that would help us build in April. We would finalize the schedule. We will share with families, much like we do at the high school. Near the end of May, these are the courses that your child is enrolled in for next school year. And then spell out the steps that would be necessary or would be expected if a parent wanted to or a student wanted to talk about what their course schedule looked like or disagreed with some of the choices. Regarding that other piece, which I think is really important, I know how hard the teams work closely with the guidance counselors and the teams of teachers and the administrative teams to help make sure that students are programmed appropriately. And while we don't guarantee every kid will get their first choice, we certainly know that a first choice for some kids is a little more important. And so I think that I know that teams will work tirelessly just to find a program that and a schedule that works well for students.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Everslag. I'm going to move on since I know we have a number of folks who want to offer public comment. But again, thank you very much. And their questions that were asked extensively at both the curriculum committee of the board meeting as well as the education committee meeting. So at this time, we will, yes? Okay. We'll move to audience recognition on agenda items only. However, if there are students who would like to speak, you will be permitted to speak on both agenda or non-agenda items only, as we want to be mindful of your parents getting you home at a reasonable time. There's no telling what time this meeting will end. And so at this time, if you could come and sign in with Ms. LaPera and tell us your name and generally where you reside in the district. Ms. LaPera? Is there anyone who wants to sign up?
Students that are just doing non-agenda?
Student.
Okay.
Anybody.
And agenda items, so students and agenda items.
You can come up, Darren.
Please, first speaker.
I can speak. Thanks. Hi, I'm Darren Clipston. I'm a parent of 2 Gladwin Elementary School students. We've been residents of the township for 8 years. I have to say it's been a lovely experience overall of the school. And I just here to speak on the middle school scheduling agenda item. First, I just wanted to say thanks for the additional physical activity break that's been added to the elementary school schedule. It's already been a big hit. I just want to flag concern about a reduction in physical education time for 6th graders, which will go to 1 45-minute per 4-day cycle, if I understand the proposal correctly. Most major health organisations in the country are recommending significantly more physical education class time than our children are getting, not less. The CDC have the daily physical education class time for middle and high school students. They're targeting 225 minutes per week. I can leave a brief summary of that research with you if you'd like. Currently in 5th grade, the students will get their 20 minutes of daily recess. They'll have the twice a week physical education time, and now their 15 minutes of daily physical activity time. When they enter 6th grade, they'll be down to the 45 minutes once per 4-day cycle, which is a significant reduction. I guess one concern is, well, one of the nice things at Gladwin Elementary is you meet a wide range of people, range of households. Visited some of the largest homes I've ever stepped foot in Gladwin. I've also, visited some more modest row homes in Bryn Mawr as well. I think when the physical education time gets cut, it doesn't require a study to know which household will take the bigger hit as far as activity time for their children. So I would just ask that you would reconsider any proposal that would subtract from the duration or frequency of physical education in the middle school. And finally, I just ask if it could be made more widely known amongst the elementary school students who will be coming in the coming years to the middle school. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker? Is that it?
Good evening, Cheryl Masterman from Villanova. I had spoken last time, and then now I've done a little bit of math and came up with some other things I wanted to add. But I wanted to first say that I do agree with all of the values that the proposed schedule does try to address. And I felt that tonight was the first time I'd heard Dr. Eveslag say that 6th grade students would have a choice for doubling up on band. So that changes my math a little bit. But for 6th grade students who didn't choose to double up on music, band or chorus. What I was noticing was that in our current schedule, with a 33% of a two days out of 6, they have music, which is 33% of their schedule. Going to 1 day out of 4 would be 25%. So that is definitely a decrease for that specific topic of specials. So throughout the school year, that equals 15 less classes, which actually equates to 2 months less curriculum instruction when you add it up for the entire year. Another way to look at that would be in the year 2016, the 6th grade band would have 22 classes before their winter concert. But with the proposed schedule, they would have 16 classes before their winter concert, which would be a 27% reduction in curriculum before their first public concert. So I just wanted that to be clear to 6th grade parents in when they're making their decisions and what they want to double up on and how that will affect the outcome of those music programs, which are heralded as some of the best in the country. And I do believe it will have a tremendous effect on that, not only in 6th grade, but going forward into 7th and 8th grade as the foundations are built in that first year. And then 7th and 8th grade students would have to make that conscious decision to double up on music, or else they'd be facing the same scheduling issue. So while our theme for our strategic plan is all forward, it seems more like it's some forward and some backward when it comes to the specials. Thank you.
Please, next speaker. Did you sign up? Please sign up. Please sign up with Ms. LaPera.
I did put my name on the list, yes. John Barry at the top.
Oh, Mr. Barry, I think he was first.
Is this an agenda item?
No, I'm sorry.
Then he's not.
For agenda, okay, so this was agenda items and any students that wanted to speak. So we're going to close the list. Is there anyone else that needs to speak on an agenda item? Okay, thank you very much. We will now move to routine board president report and approve the minutes from the following Board of School Directors meetings. February 13th, regular business board meeting. March 13th, education committee meeting. And accept the committee meeting minutes. February 15th, communications. February 23rd, legislative. February 27th, special meeting of the board. Facilities update, public work session. March 8th, curriculum. March 10th, policy. March 16th, facilities and purchasing. Are there questions? Is there a motion to approve? So moved. There a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Copeland?
Thank you, Dr. Van Lynch. Good evening again, everyone. Just some highlights of things that have been going on in the district. Lower Merion High School students were well represented in the 2017 Scholastic Art and Writing Awards as annual competition that recognizes the nation's top student artists and writers. 10 LMHS students earned an impressive 22 awards across a variety of categories in this year's competition, with 2 of our students receiving Gold Key recognition. Further, at Lower Merion High School recently hosted its 2nd annual Code LM, a programming competition for computer science students from local high schools that features a series of challenging problem sets using a variety of coding languages. 11 high schools participated in this year's event, which was planned and organized by a team of Lower Merion High School students with guidance and support from computer science teacher Tom Swope. The Harridan High School Science Olympiad team recently won the 2017 Pennsylvania Southeast Region Science Olympiad Championship. The team earned medals in 21 out of 23 events, including 15 first-place finishes. The team will now begin to prepare for the Pennsylvania Science Olympiad, which takes place on April 29th. Harridan has won the state title in 19 of the past 20 years. Apparently, it wasn't all due to Dr. Everslag being principal, so that's just... The 10th annual Mr. Harridan competition raised more than $30,000 for a variety of charities, including the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, Cure SMA, the Sean King Fund, and the Lower Merion Scholarship Fund. The 10 contestants demonstrated an array of entertaining talents in front of a sold-out crowd in Harridan's auditorium. This year's winner was Joel Danilowitz. Thank you. Yeah, sure. I just wanted to make sure, since there were some folks who spoke to some specific issues in the report, Scott, if you wouldn't mind addressing some of those?
So one of the considerations in the schedule was a balanced sixth grade approach to special experiences. And if we look at the schedule that we currently have, and I'll use Welsh Valley as an example, there were the 8 experiences that we're offering for sixth grade. 4 of them were offered 60 days out of the 180 days. 4 of them were offered 30 days out of the 180 days. We thought there was value in making sure that those 8 experiences and students were offered a little bit of a lot. Did I say that right? A lot of a little bit. So we wanted every student to have a balanced 45 days for each of those 8 experiences in sixth grade. This also allowed for the opportunity for health to be introduced and continued at Welsh Valley and introduced at Ballackinwood in the sixth grade. So health and wellness is certainly a big part of our strategic plan and part of our district's mission. A sixth grade experience for students at Ballackinwood would now include a balance of both health and phys ed. And we thought that was really important to the sixth grade year. And we really wanted to not choose for the kids which of the experiences are better or not. I'm not better, are to be offered more frequently or not. One of the things that we saw through the work through the recess committee was there were a lot of kids that wanted more recess and others that didn't, quite honestly. Not everyone did want more recess. We see the same thing as we ask kids through the survey process what personal development experiences they wanted. Some wanted more phys ed, some wanted less. Some wanted more music, some wanted it less. And so what we feel the schedule does offer is an offer for students to put their own stamp and get extra music if they wanted extra music, and additional physical education if they wanted additional physical education.
Sure. The administration, under Human Resources, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approve the attached Human Resources actions HR 1 through HR 7.
Are there questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now have the report of the Curriculum Committee of the Board by Dr. Gilbert.
Okay, well, we spent 2 hours talking about the middle school schedule, so I'm going to shorten this report since I think we've just gone over a lot of that. Yeah, but the Curriculum Committee of the Board met on March 8th. One issue we discussed that we didn't discuss this evening was a textbook proposal. So Dr. Leslie Pratt presented the administration's proposal to adopt a sixth grade anthology called Collections. Collections was piloted by 6 teachers, 3 at each middle school, and the anthology was chosen because it meets the needs that we have identified through the strategic plan as well as analysis of student data. So for example, it guarantees, it gives the skills and practices that constitute the guaranteed experiences we want. There's sort of thematic understandings that bind experiences and resources, which matches up with our strategic plan. And there's also a heavy emphasis on text-dependent analysis, which was a big issue we've identified as something we want to strengthen. The estimated cost was approximately $100,000, and it replaces a 2009 text, and the committee recommended it be reviewed by the purchasing committee for approval. Again, we discussed the middle school issue, the scheduling issue at length. I am not going to review that now. The board did ask for more opportunities for community feedback at school board meetings and at each middle school. So we appreciate seeing that move ahead, and we will discuss again at the next curriculum committee meeting. The strategic plan presentation was delayed, but we heard about that this evening as well, and we did discuss some of the elementary recess pilot, so I'm not going to discuss that again. So I will just say that our next meeting is on April 5th at 8:30 a.m. in this room. So please join us if you want to hear more about the middle school schedules. Thanks.
Under Educational Services, I'd like to take items B through D in one motion. The administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached overnight trip request. Further, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached purchase of the English resource collections for grade 6 in the amount of $101,507.59. And finally, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached annual renewal license for True North Logic in the amount of $25,249.
There are questions? Is there a motion to approve? There's second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
There are no student services.
Okay, thank you. We will now have the report of the Facilities and Purchasing Committee. Mr. Driscoll.
Thank you, Dr. Van Lynch. We met this past Thursday at 8:30 in this room, March 16th. We opened the meeting, as we always do, reviewing and recommending for approval the list of bills. We then reviewed and recommended for approval 4 contracts on the purchasing report. First is from S.J. Thomas for $286,000. As part of the district's 5-year maintenance plan, the roof on the DAO is scheduled for repairs. Second contract was for S.J. Thomas for $494,000. Again, the 5-year maintenance for the roof repair at Ballackinwood Middle School. We then reviewed a contract for Trenchless Line Company, LLC, for $48,930. The underground stormwater basins at Harwich have collected sediment over the past several years. This contract is for removal of that sediment to improve the efficiency of those basins. Also, as part of our maintenance program for those basins as well. The final contract was for Washington Music Center for $24,500.25. This contract is to purchase 13 new cellos, 1 new MIDI wind, 1 new xylophone, 4 new bass bows, 1 new gong, and 1 replacement marimba for the various schools. The new equipment is to provide enough instruments for the district's growing enrollment. The 2 contracts with S.J. Thomas and the 1 contract for Washington Music Center were bid through state and region-wide cooperative bidding, and the contract for the Trenchless Line Company was awarded through a district-run competitive bidding process. We then reviewed and recommended for approval a 1-year renewal contract with Smart Learning Suite for $14,136.75. This software allows a web browser on a device to interact with the district projector systems and also allows teachers to create projects accessible to students on various laptops and touchscreens. We then reviewed and recommended for approval a 1-week lease for the space on Arnold Field for Nicholas Severini and World Class Soccer School for a fee of $750. This camp has been offered to local students for several years. We also briefly discussed that this contract is approved this evening. The lessee must still comply with the new district policy 555 on private coaching and training by district coaches. We then looked at the district contracts, which one was for Performance Matters True North Logic for $25,249. It's a 1-year renewal contract for software that allows administrators and teachers to manage performance review data as well as provide the same information to the Department of Education. We then reviewed and recommended for approval a 3-year extension contract with C-Power. C-Power is like an intermediary between customers like the district and power suppliers such as PECO. C-Power generally provides 2 services. The first is what's called demand response. When the power grid is on a high demand day, if requested by the power company, the district can opt to reduce its consumption and receive a payment back. The amount of payment the district receives in a year varies, but it can range from $13,000 upwards to $90,000 in a single year. Second service that C-Power would provide is like in its smart meters that allow the district to manage what's called peak load contribution. Peak load contribution is an assigned baseline cost for delivering power, kind of like paying for the lines and the existing power generators that the power companies have. By working with C-Power, the district has learned how to reduce its consumption voluntarily, which has in turn reduced the district's peak load contribution and thereby reducing our bills on average. We then reviewed and recommended for approval an individual work order with Gilbert Architects for a not to exceed amount of $47,375. This contract is for Gilbert Architects and its subcontractors, Chester Valley Engineers and Snyder Hoffman, to assist in the possible installation of the 6 modular classrooms at Ballackinwood Middle School, as well as any additional work that may be needed as we explore a possible 12-classroom permanent construction project also at Ballackinwood. We then reviewed and recommended for approval an individual work order for Chester Valley Engineers for $3,700. This is for additional survey work and for office work for CAD processing related to stormwater control improvements at Bala Cynwyd Middle School. We then reviewed and recommended for approval an individual work order with CMC Engineering for $5,145 to update and revise plans for asphalt replacement at the Matson Ford Road bus facility. We then reviewed and recommended for approval a modification to the Reynolds Construction LLC contract for the recent work done at the DAO for a not to exceed amount of $19,757.50. Some of the construction was completed here in the DAO in September 2016, such as lab space, but other spaces needed additional work requiring Reynolds oversight and management through the months past September. After negotiating a reduction with Reynolds, this contract is to compensate Reynolds for that additional work. We then reviewed and recommended for approval an amendment to an existing individual work order with F. Tavani and Associates for $3,000. Frank Tavani has been doing traffic and parking studies of the neighborhood around Bala Cynwyd Middle School. This work will cover additional work needed for the zoning and land development process as we go forward with that. And finally, reviewed and recommended for approval 3 change orders related to DAO construction for a total amount of $15,346.02. There were some issues with the HVAC piping up and around the second floor, and this required extra materials and labor. That was the things that we recommended for approval this evening. We then went on to information session where we discussed the construction here at the DAO. The punch list is complete, and we're hopeful that final paperwork should be ready for board approval in April. We then discussed modulars at Bala Cynwyd Middle School. The zoning hearing board has given a verbal approval for the district's variance regarding impervious coverage. I don't know if they've given the written opinion as of yet. I think they needed more time with that. So with that, we are moving forward with the land development process with the Board of Commissioners for the modulars on the track at Bala Cynwyd Middle School. We also did discuss permanent construction at Bala Cynwyd Middle School. These would be the 12 additional classrooms, along with some potential modifications to the cafeteria. We're still looking at that to see how to improve that. Finally, we talked about Welsh Valley Cafeteria. We were exploring, again, expanding the utilization of the cafeteria to accommodate the increasing enrollment. We then very briefly discussed a rough proposal on possible permanent construction at Penguin Elementary. This is a very, very rough concept. It was only about a week old, but it involves talking about placing classrooms and a second gymnasium on and near where the existing outdoor basketball court is. I want to emphasize that a lot more work needs to be done before this could become even a viable option, but we're still looking at other options at Penguin. And for that, we close the meeting. Our next facilities and purchasing meeting will be April 20th at 8:30 in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Driscoll. Are there questions? Okay, I did have one question. Mr. Copeland, could you just highlight some of the services the district receives from the MCIU based on our annual membership?
Sure. So the MCIU, or the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, and there are I think there's 22 intermediate units throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They serve largely to provide shared services. Some of those services are bidding various things. A lot of them are special education services. We will go to them for ancillary services like speech sometimes, occupational therapy, and those kinds of things. But writ large, it provides shared services throughout the county. We even purchase some services from Bucks County Intermediate Unit, Chester County Intermediate Unit. So that's what we do.
Great. Thank you. Any additional questions? Is there a motion to approve? Oh, I'm sorry. Was there a question? Oh, I'm sorry. Just jumping ahead. Mr. Orlando.
That's okay. Under the business office and finance sections, we have action items B through F. I'm going to take them in one motion. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the list of bills, approve the financial report for February 2017, accept the donation from Cynwyd Elementary Home and School Association of $5,142.34 for the purchase and installation of a Gaga pit pursuant to Policy 702. We thank the HSA for their donation. Approve the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit 2017-18 membership services budget with a proposed charge of Lower Merion School District of $136,972 and declare surplus equipment as surplus property and authorize the disposition thereof.
All right, now are there questions? Please, Ms. Driscoll.
Thank you. This probably is for Pat. Well, I very much appreciate the Kinwood Elementary HSA for the Gaga pit, but I don't know if, Pat, if you know where might we be placing it, or just give me a rough geography of, is it a new pit, a replacement pit, or what can you tell me about it?
It's a new pit. We have found a place on the field behind the school, between the two schools, where we think it can be placed, not interfere with the use of the field as an athletic field, which is soon to change with the installation of our temporary classrooms. But that was the long holdup, was trying to figure out where to put this, and I think we've reached an agreement.
Just what's, my apologies, I've never played Gaga. What's the surface? Is it, I apologize. No, not
the
at
surface
this age,
will
no.
be mulch, same kind of mulch we have on our playgrounds.
You got mulch.
Any additional questions? And again, thank you to the Kenwood HSA for the generous donation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Under facilities and operations, I'm going to take items A through J in one motion. All these items were discussed at the Facilities and Purchasing Committee as noted in Mr. Driscoll's report. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the following motions. Award the bids for roof repairs at the District Administrative Office and Balacoon Middle School, stormwater maintenance at Harrington High School, and musical instruments for various schools. Approve the license agreement with Nick Severini and the World Class Soccer School for facilities usage in the amount of $750. Approve the contract for a one-year maintenance subscription with visual sound for the Smart Learning Suite in the amount of $14,136.75. Approve a three-year contract extension with C-Power for demand response. Approve modification to the contract for professional services with Reynolds Construction LLC for not-to-exceed fee of $19,757.50. Approve the individual work order for professional services with Gilbert Architects, Inc. for not-to-exceed fee of $47,375. Approve Amendment 3 to the individual work order for professional service with CMC Engineering, as originally approved at September 28, 2015 meeting for an additional not-to-exceed fee of $5,145. Approve amendment to the individual work order with Chester Valley Engineers, Inc. in the amount of $3,700. Approve the amendment to the individual work order with F. Tavani and Associates, Inc. in the amount of $3,000, and approve the change order for District Administration Office classroom renovations, and all those are per the attachments.
Thank you, Mr. Orlando. Are there questions? There a motion to approve? There a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now have the report of the Policy Committee meeting by Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Dr. Van Lynch. The Policy Committee met on March 10th, 2017 in this room at 8:30 a.m. We discussed policy in AR 713, access to school facilities, covering topics related to facilities like the requisite proof of insurance for users, booster club or HSA use, use of facility by others. Discussion focused on the term incidental users and its definition. That's up for first reading this month. Policy 207, attendance, is also up for first reading. Act 138 of 2016 amended Pennsylvania's truancy laws and significantly changes the procedures to be followed when a child becomes truant or habitually truant. We discussed these new requirements and the changes that need to take place at our schools. Policy 604 is also up for first reading, tax waiver requests. This included mostly language changes to encompass what we wanted to accomplish. We discussed, but it's not up for first reading, is policy 706, commercial advertising. That would be a new policy. The administration will look into this issue to see if there's a broad enough need to codify commercial advertising at our schools. If so, a broader community conversation needs to be central focus before coming to any conclusions. And we already have Policy 702, which covers gifts, donations, and grants, and Policy and Regulation 704, which covers recognition of contributions to the school community. So that'll be up for discussion at a later date. We concluded at that point, and next month's meeting will be held on April 7th in this room at 8:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. First reading, the following policies were reviewed for first reading. Policy 207, attendance, policy 604, tax waiver request, and policy 713, access to school facilities. We will now have the report of the Communications Committee by Ms. Ackman.
Great, thank you. The Communications and Community Engagement Committee met on Wednesday, February 15th at 7 p.m. First, we reviewed recent news and highlights, most of which has passed. We talked about honor roll and boys basketball, the ISC art show, and a number of other things. We spent a decent portion of the meeting talking about the Innovation Center and ATR Records, which is a really neat incubator for entrepreneurship focused on music and the music industry. So we had Erin Manger, who directs that on a volunteer basis and serves as a mentor, present with one of the students he's working with at Lower Merion High School. And it was a really neat example of how community engagement can offer new opportunities to students and new ways to get engaged, and incredible leverage of some of our local talent and resources here in the community. Next, we discussed Power School for elementary schools, which the administration is currently exploring, and expect to hear more about that soon. We had a discussion about the partner school program, and the deadline for all of that information had moved up a month, and that a letter has gone out in the last few weeks to everyone in the district, reminding them about registration and just outreach related to that issue. The administration also had a meeting with realtors to discuss the partner school program. Next, we talked about budget communications. We've initiated a number of new ways for the community to engage on our budget and circulated dates, and a number of other tools to get feedback outside of the traditional confines of this meeting. And so all of that information hopefully is filtered out to the community, and we're seeking input and engagement. Next, we talked about the website. The district is in the final phases of updating our website, again, to make information much more accessible to the community and the school families, everyone, especially on a mobile device. So there's been a little bit of a slight technical snafu with integration of one of, I guess, the staff database, and that issue was being worked on. We expect to hear a report out this week on that. The website was previewed with the ISC and with principals to get some initial feedback. So there's actually been, I think, a lot of engagement around the redesign overall, and kudos to Doug Young for kind of leading a lot of that engagement. We talked about upcoming events, and I think those are the highlights. The next meeting is Wednesday morning at 8:30 a.m. in this room. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Ackman. We'll now have the report of the Legislative Committee meeting. Dr. O'Leary.
Thank you. We met on February 23rd, and the committee discussed a resolution which lays out the board's position relating to education funding, and fair funding and local control. This is in response to proposed legislation to shift education funding to a sales and income tax, and this is at the state level. We also discussed during that meeting the format for our spring legislative roundtable, and we're in the process of scheduling that with our legislators, and that will be our next meeting, and the date is to be determined.
Thank you, Dr. O'Leary. We'll now have audience recognition, public comment on non-agenda or non-agenda items. If you could please sign in with Ms. LaPera. There is a 3-minute time limit. If you could tell us your name
Mr. Barry.
and generally where you reside in the district. Thank you.
Mr. Barry, you can come on up.
Where am I to sign in?
And you can go ahead and get started.
I can go ahead and speak?
Yeah.
My name is John Barry, and I'm a resident of Ballackinwood, and I would like to thank Superintendent Copeland and the Board of Directors for considering the list of possible sites for a third middle school. I think we'll need it as the population of Lower Merion grows over the years to come ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Mr. Barry? Mr. Barry, just one of the things that I think, since I think you're probably the only one who's going to address this, I'll address you now. We need about 19 acres for a third middle school. I looked over the list of sites, and I went over them with our realtor, and I'll get back to you on where we stand with that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
If we could have the next person on the list. I
Please.
don't know who the first one is. If I can just, is it Justin? Justin, I might read. Justin Davis, please.
My name is Justin Davis. I'm a resident of Wynwood, and I have a daughter at the Penwyn Elementary School. I'm also the vice president of the Penwyn Civic Association, and am here tonight to just give their opinion quickly on the plans to expand the Penwyn Elementary School. In 2002, Lower Merion School District added 12 classrooms, an atrium, and a cafetorium to the elementary school. That claimed about half of the outdoor play areas. In summer 2016, the district put 4 modular classrooms on the field. Penwyn Elementary has the highest enrollment in the district with 738 students, and it already has the most densely populated outdoor play area. The Civic Association's position is that for the sake of the kids and community, we ask that the board remove the on-field expansion, option 1, and remove the on-hard play area expansion, option 3A, from consideration. As you will see from the results of our resident and parent survey, minor redistricting a 7th elementary school at St. Justin's, option 2A, a 3rd middle school that makes elementary K-4 instead of K-5, a kindergarten center or some combination of these, or waiting until the fall 2017 enrollment numbers come out are all acceptable to us. After the survey was started, the Civic Association published options 4AB and options 5A. These have significant advantages over all prior on-site solutions to Penwyn Elementary School's overcrowding. We strongly request that you consider these options since they take the best ideas from all stakeholders. Putting another addition on the field, option 1, or on the hard play area, option 3A, would be unacceptably detrimental to the quality of outdoor play for our kids and our community. Not only Penwyn Elementary School, but many elementary schools around the district have received stopgap additions over the last 20 years. Instead of looking ahead and redistricting or building another elementary school, the district keeps falling back on short-term fixes which result in overcrowded, unevenly sized schools. The board's neighborhood stabilization strategy projected cost is $30 to $35 million. That means that after the Penwyn Elementary School, many other interim solutions are anticipated around the district. Again, whatever solution ends up being, we as a Civic Association request the school board take option 1 and option 3A out of consideration, since these both adversely affect the ability of our kids and our residents to utilize this wonderful neighborhood school both during and after hours. Thank you.
Hi. Hi, I'm Nicole Labisky. I'm also a resident of Penwyn, and my daughter's a first grader at Penwyn Elementary School. So the Penwyn Civic Association sponsored a survey about the possible school expansion. The survey was featured on the Penwyn Parents Facebook page and was featured on the Penwyn Civic Association Facebook page. These are both closed Facebook pages for members only. An email was also sent to current members of the Penwyn Civic Association who are also verified as members of Penwyn. The main question on Penwyn residents' rank of 6 options was presented to everyone in random order. The survey was done on SurveyMonkey, which disallows persons from taking it twice. The survey started on March 13th, 2017, and was done on March 19th, 2017. A total of 159 Penwyn residents and parents took the survey. The survey was not changed after options 3A, 4AB, or 5A were put in the public domain. The first question was, does the elementary school field green space improve the community? 90% of people felt yes, it significantly improved the community. About 9% said yes, moderately, and about 1% said either neutral or no opinion, no or definitely not. The second question was, do you believe maximizing field space should be a priority when considering methods for Penwyn expansion, permanent expansion? A little over 90% said yes, 3% said no, and about 5% said neutral, no opinion. Our third question was, which of the 6 methods below do you prefer for Penwyn Elementary School permanent expansion and to reduce Penwyn Elementary overcrowding? As you can see, the first option that people liked was an addition to Penwyn off the field. Number 2 was to build a 7th elementary school at the St. Justin's location near Welsh Valley. Tying for third were building a kindergarten center and an elementary school redistricting. 5th was building another middle school. And 6th was, and last, was to build onto the Penwyn Elementary School field, permanently reducing the field size by 1/3. And our last question was, would you prefer that Lower Merion School District defers any decisions about Penwyn Elementary School permanent expansion until fall of 2017 enrollment numbers are out? And about 55% of people said yes, about 15% said no, and 30% had neutral or no opinion. We also allowed people to give comments. So our first question was, why do you prefer your highest ranking option? And some of these are quotes from the comments. So one person said, build a 7th elementary. It's less disruptive to students who are already enrolled. It utilizes space that the district already owns, and it avoids expansion on Penwyn. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Mabel Haggerty. I am a parent at Penwyn. I'm going to read a few more of the quotes from the survey that were left by parents. Go for option 2A. My children are now 17, 19, and 21, but I clearly remember how outside recess at Penwyn greatly improved their concentration and positive outlook regarding school. In addition, the open space is a cherished part of the Penwyn community. It is a place for families, friends, and groups to meet and further strengthen the community bonds. Another person chose redistricting. The board has said equality across schools is a core value. If that's true, we have no choice but to somehow shift students across the districts. Another vote for option 2A. Building the bus loop on Haverford Avenue utilizes the empty negative space. A vote for building the 7th elementary school. Penwyn is overcrowded and it already creates an unsafe environment. In favor of redistricting, this option is economical and uses the existing resources of the school district. Specifically, we do not want expansion at Penwyn Elementary on top of so much growth already. We've seen a negative impact from the expansion over the past 4 years. Too many regulations to keep kids safe and orderly, such as not being allowed to run outside, and a loss of free space and time. I'm also not in favor of the new option 3A. A roof for play could be crowded and unsafe after school. In favor of building a 7th elementary school. This school has reached its max. There is no place to park for events. There is limited place to wait in car line, and we're often sitting on Haverford Road. There are 7 classrooms in my child's grade already. My son's classroom used to be a small computer lab. Internal to the building has no windows. Where did I left off? Okay. Sorry, I lost my place there. Our fields create a space for community for these children, and this is what I think we all want for our children. This school is full. In other location, it might work. Redistricting. Research supports smaller elementary school sizes. Adding students to Penn Win would harm their education. Option 2A, it is extremely important to the children and to the Penn Win community to reclaim our field. Option 2A is the least expensive alternative while allowing complete and unobstructed use of the field. The Penn Win neighborhood, moreover, is highly congested, and we cannot afford the loss of this valuable space. Redistricting at the elementary level is the least costly option and the least disruptive. It also helps to equalize the schools, manage buses, and mitigate traffic and pedestrian safety issues. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kayla Meyer. I graduated from Penn Win Elementary School a while ago, but I've been a resident of the community, and I'm going to read the answers to the last question of the survey, which says, do you have any other comments, questions, or concerns? Okay. I have a son in 5th grade. Joshua is very athletic, and like many other boys, his way of socializing with peers and nurturing relationships with his classmates and school peers is through sports. The soccer fields, he is passionate about soccer. He is a passionate soccer player, and the blacktop has been a tremendous place of social growth for him. During his 6 years at Penn Win, both before school, during school hours, and after school dismissal. He often stays until 5 p.m. to play soccer and basketball with school friends. I know that there are many children just like my son at Penn Win, and I think it would be very unfair to take this away from our sons and daughters at Penn Win. Thank you for your time. How about, why expand onto an area used by kids when there is an area along Haverford that is totally unused? My children have now attended 3 of the 5 elementary schools in our district. By far, Penn Win is the largest, least intimate, and frustrating one. Parents have suggested they don't even take their children to bingo nights and extra school events because they are so crowded and it's so difficult to park. The size of the school as it is has caused so much frustration to children and parents. Do you know that many children do not have one true friend in class because there are so many classes per grade that the children are spread so far apart? Do you know that they have to sit with their classes for lunch because it needs to be so organized? These children are limited and confined to one small group of children all day long. It is not healthy. This is not what we want for them. Making this school larger will make these issues worse, not better. We are the eyes and ears of the school, surroundings, and community, and we are telling you that this expansion is not the answer to district growth. Another comment. I think it's unfair to our children to take away their play space. They use the green space as available, and so their only other space to play is the blacktop. As a parent, I do not feel comfortable with them playing on the roof or have their already limited play space taken away. Recess and playtime is crucial for kids' learning. As a longtime resident, I think it is so important to avoid short-term housing mistakes that result from individual board members' personal agendas overriding the common good. Penn Win School has always been treated as a second-class school in the district. I am so concerned and so disappointed that the on-field expansion for Penn Win Elementary School is even being considered. It truly makes me wonder if the members of the school board would want that for their own children. Please remove option 1. Please, please, please take on-field expansion at Penn Win off the table. It has been, if it had to be expansion at Penn Win, expand onto Haverford, which is currently underutilized. I just have one quick thing. Penwyn kids, parents, residents overwhelmingly enjoy the use of Penwyn Field and hard play areas. The school feels overcrowded. In order of score, 1, build option 2A. 2.
I'm sorry, we're going to have to move on to the next person. It's a 3-minute time limit. Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Yeah, my name is Ben Meyer. I'm a resident of Penwyn. I have 4 kids. 2 are still in the school system. Just to finish up what Kayla just said, she was just summarizing the 6 results. Was option 2A was number 1, popular, 7th elementary school number 2, redistricting number 3, build a kindergarten center was tied with redistricting, build a 3rd middle school for 5 through 8, and build option 1 was last. Perhaps a new survey should be done, however, with option 3A, 4A, B, and 5A, which were added after the survey started. I'm here right now just to talk about option 5. We came up with this just on Friday, actually, and then 4A and B will follow after this. A big impetus of this was what to do while the construction is going on, because that would take away the field for about 2 years. So basically, option 5 is puts the addition on the teacher parking lot right now, and then a little bit of green space or extra parking could be added right in that location right there. Then it adds but the build order is important. So the first thing to be built would be this drop-off for the buses in the front, approximately 17 spaces here. Obviously, impervious is important. An additional small parking lot up here on Suffolk, an additional, that would be about 10 spaces, an additional 10 spaces here, which was part of the original modular plan. Then making the inner diameter of this drop-off a little bit smaller would enable additional parking spaces. I've got about 10 there as well. And then to switch the one-way here opposite here so that there's not a backup of cars and buses here. This is actually the least costly of the alternatives to 1C. It's only about 11.5% more than option 1C. Let me repeat that, 11.5% more, and yet the kids still have a place to play during the day. So this is going to be about 9.5 million, which would be just about this. This is the most expensive add-on piece. This is about 800,000. This is about 150,000. This is about, let's say 40, and this is relatively small. So the 1949 would not be touched in this plan. So this has that improvement over option 2A, so that doesn't have to be torn down. Additional temporary classrooms would not have to be built under this plan. So it has a lot of benefits. I'm not aware of any detractions yet, but and the other great thing about it too is some of these neighbors here do find the basketball a bit loud. So by having option 5A right here, it blocks a decent amount of the sound there from that. The final bit here would be that we think this will be an adequate amount of drop-off space here, but in the case that you needed just a little bit more drop-off space, some teachers' aides could be along Suffolk's, and you could have a little bit of an auxiliary drop-off over there. So I think it's thought of quite a few things. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate everybody's service and creativity on this matter.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, I'm Sharon Weinstein. I also live in Penwyn, across the street from the school. I want to emphasize that our goal here is to point out that there's got to be better options than using the field or putting a basketball court on the roof. And we're just trying to give you some examples of such options. We don't have all the information and the structural drawings of the building and traffic counts that you have, but we really think that with some creativity, if it has to be expanded, there are other ways. This option is we're calling number 4. Like the option Ben just introduced, it first moves the parking and the traffic to Haverford, this bus circle here, puts a little parking lot here, here. Same thing, it starts with that. And then by having that once we have that additional parking, we could pave over the teacher parking lot and have that as green space. And then we can be building on the way the school board had proposed with option 1C, have that nice building on the back behind the cafetorium. So basically, we're just saying, give us the if you're going to take the field space here, give us the teacher parking lot area as green space and put the parking and traffic somewhere else. This being said, I'm still really hoping the board can find an alternative to expanding Penn-Win. No matter what you do, the core facilities are going to be way overcrowded. The survey, when people said that their preference was option 2A, they were looking at it as if the expanding Penn-Win was the only cost associated with neighborhood stabilization option. But according to your charts, neighborhood stabilization is actually a $30 million long-term proposal. It's not even as cheap as redistricting. It's not as cheap as a kindergarten center. I really hope you choose not to go down this route. Thank you.
If you're interested in speaking, could you please sign up at this time, as we will be closing the list momentarily?
Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you about the proposed expansion at Penn-Win Elementary. My name is Rebecca Rendell, and 3 years ago I moved to Wynwood in Lower Merion from 515 West 59th Street in New York City, right next to a public elementary school, an elementary school with 2 postage stamp blacktops, one on the corner of 60th and 10th and one on the roof. I lived next to that school for 6 years, watching the kids run back and forth across the small space, watching in winter when piles of snow made interior fencing necessary on the already tiny blacktop on the roof, watching the kids make the most of what they had. But when I had my oldest daughter, I realized I really wanted her to have a school experience more like the one I had, with fields for running and outdoor spaces to play and learn. We bought a house in Wynwood, and now I have 3 little kids. My youngest is 100 days old today. I hope this board will consider how overcrowding, an outdoor space, and a lack of outdoor space is going to affect my kids and all the kids who attend Penn-Win. I hope you will consider some redistricting, because all the little kids on my block in Wynwood, while technically equidistant from Penn-Win and Penn Valley, drive 5 extra minutes to go to an elementary school that already lacks adequate outdoor space. I hope you will consider investing in the kindergarten building, because Lower Merion school districts are not getting any less popular, and full-day kindergarten in a place where 5- and 6-year-olds do not share space with 5th graders would be a great boon to many, many parents and kids. But most of all, I hope you will consider the value of space, outdoor space, and space to play freely to these very young kids. The outdoor space at Penn-Win is already inadequate, but the kids are doing the best they can with what they've got. Adding more kids without adding more usable outdoor space, or even removing outdoor space, as I understand some of the plans suggest, should be avoided at all costs. Thank you very much.
It's Julie Williams.
Hello. My name is Julie Williams. I live in Wynwood. You've seen me at some of these meetings discussing Penn-Win. So first, I really just want to thank you all for continuing to investigate possibilities and choices and really making a thoughtful decision about this. And I've really seen that, and I love living here for that. I would like to say that while I understand and short-term expansion at Penn-Win may be a less expensive option, Lower Merion school districts are not known for just taking the easiest, cheapest route. We are known for doing what is right for our students, okay? And what is right for our students is not expanding this school. This school is huge. These kids cannot run at recess when they are restricted to the blacktop, which happens frequently because of wet fields. They're not allowed to go out there. So the class sizes are so big they can't run. They're 6 and 7 years old and they can't run. Also, having students attend school during construction is not healthy for these young children. It creates an unhealthy environment. Having construction during the school year has been shown to increase absenteeism, especially for students with asthma, of which my daughter is one. The Environmental Protection Agency has said that on-site construction, while children are in the building, has decreased academic performance. It increases their exposure to harmful contaminants, which can lead to serious health risks. This is not okay with me, and I'm sure it's not okay with you for the kids either. Also, allowing Penn Win to bear the burden, the largest burden of our growing community, of our growing population, is just not best for these students. As I said, there's issues with recess. There are safety issues during drop-off and pickup. It is too crowded. Something bad is going to happen. There are too many cars and buses and walkers without sidewalks. It is not safe. So I want to ask you to please consider the other options that I know you've been looking at. And we see there are a lot of opinions. We see people trying to find a better choice, a better choice, a better choice. Clearly, there is no good choice for the expansion at Penn Win. There is no good solution. It is too big and the space is too small. So I ask you to please consider what's best for our students, maintain our reputation as one of the best schools in this state and in the country, and make the difficult choice to do what's right for our kids. Thank you.
Lauren, Betty?
Hi, my name is Lauren Fenning. I live in Penn Win. I have a fourth grader that goes to Penn Win Elementary. Living in Penn Win, honestly, is like winning the lottery. It is an amazing place to live. I feel very lucky. There's a lot of skewed logic in the world right now, but orchestrating these complicated expansion issues are an opportunity for our local and progressive community to shine. And I do have faith that Lower Merion can do it. The logic of preserving a ground-level public blacktop and a large green field seems really straightforward. Please remove options 1 and 3A. Thank you.
Hello, Adrian Seltzer. I hear a lot from the school board saying that some of the factors that are causing a raise in taxes is the amount of special needs kids in the schools. And I was wondering how aggressively the school is on getting reimbursements from state and federal agencies for those special needs kids. I was reading an article this week where a woman from Cheltenham had her son placed in a school, and Medicaid paid for that schooling and the transportation. I see in our budget or in the financials how much this school is being paid and how much that school is being paid, but I don't see anything about reimbursements getting back. So I was wondering how aggressive was the school district in getting these monies reimbursed, and also how unaggressive you are towards the parents in getting these accommodations for the kids sooner, instead of spending time and money with lawyers and putting those accommodations off to the future. So there you go. And I was under time.
Just quickly to that.
I'll respond to the special ed. Our issues, when we refer to special education costs, we do it along with the pension costs, the PSERS costs. And we do it because those are the only two areas that the state will allow us to put in for supplemental funding or basically a larger tax increase, because the state recognizes the fact that these are two areas that are out of our control. The third way that we get something other than local funding is federal funding. All of that is strictly based on formulas And the Medicare, we do have students who we get Medicare refunding from. Of course, our major concern is under the new federal guidelines, they're talking about doing away with that, so I'm not quite sure where that's going to be. In terms of, I think we provide an excellent child find process, and I think that we're really on top of things in terms of working with folks at an early age.
Thank you, Ms. Cook.
Tanya Shriver?
Hi, my name's Tanya Shriver, and I live in Penwyn. And I'd just like to read out, because I think there's this this presumption that we need to build somewhere. And while there is growth in the school district, I'd like to read, as you all know, you paid for one demographic study last year, and then you paid for 2 more this year. And all 3 kind of came to the same conclusion. I'd like to read that out so that everybody can hear this. Grade K through 12 enrollments will peak at 3,813 students in the year 2017 before stabilizing. Grade 6 to 8 enrollments will peak at 2,357 students in 2021 at the end of a 5-year projection period, and grades 9 through 12 high school enrollments will peak at 3,440 students in 2024 in the middle of the extended projection period. This is page 25 of the 3rd demographic study we've paid for in the last couple of years. According to this study, we're going to have a drop of 56 elementary students in the next 5 years. This is our peak. This is as many classes as we ever needed. After this, we need 56 less in the next 5 years, and then it drops. So the money and the time and the attention we are spending to talk about elementary expansion and telling people that redistricting will cost $30 million or more, this is what we're not spending the money on, and this is not what we're not spending the time on. Our middle school is going to have 282 more students in the next 5 years, and then have a 100-student drop, while our high school is going to have 418 more students in the next 5 years, and then 200 more in the 5 years after that. Again, we have enough elementary school seats. This is as many as we will ever need. If we offered, and I know there's other things we need to work on, but if we just focus on this, that we actually need to look at the number of seats we have district-wide. We need to see if there's a way of asking for volunteers that are willing to move to the other areas. We need to stop looking at the idea that $30 million in neighborhood stabilization is going to be the solution when everybody is giving you details about how it's worked so far. This isn't making anyone happy. This is making everyone frustrated. We've spent over a year trying to explain it. Can you at least have a vote saying, yes, we understand that the field is of value, and we agree that we don't think that to hedge our bets when we have decreasing enrollment in elementary schools, that we're even considering still taking away this play space? Can we at least, after over a year, have a vote to say that that's no longer on the table?
Hi, my name's Leanne Shore. I am a Penwyn parent and a BC middle school parent. Right now, phase 1 of my talk, I am the press secretary of my son Max, who is in 3rd grade. He is at home sleeping, but wanted me to convey to you his concerns, one of which is the green space and recess time. He has heard a lot about me and other parents talking about the changes that have been proposed by the school district as we sit outside every day after school enjoying the green space for up to almost 2 hours, pending how nice the day is and homework load. One of the things he said to me the other day was, if I don't get to run around or my friends get to run around, we get hyper, we can't listen, and we can't focus. When we are on the blacktop, because we can't be on the green space, we are not allowed to run around. For me, when I see the volume of children that we have at Penwyn, when my daughter started, we were at 435 kids. We are now at, I believe, the number, 730 something? Packed into the same space. Penwyn is a unique community, and we have, quote unquote, made it work for years before it really seemed like it was fully at the attention of the school board's radar of how densely packed we were at Penwyn. There was one year at Penguin where we didn't even know how many classrooms we were going to have in first grade because there were so many last-minute enrollments. We had to expand, I believe, 1 or 2 classrooms less than a week before school started. The numbers keep growing. The space is not going to change. Another thing that Max said to me was, if we can't run around, we get frustrated, we get angry, we don't listen in the second half of school. He said, then because we're so crowded, whenever we have gym class, sometimes we have to share gym class with first grade. And then we have to bring down our level of play, is basically what he said in not so many words. He has to bring down his level of play so they don't hurt the first graders. It seems like in one of the best school districts in the country, we focus on academic excellence. The one thing we're missing out on again and again, and I'll reiterate what Tanya said, is the focus on play and the focus on freedom of these kids. We have a great school district. Why aren't we expanding the redistricting plan and not going after options 1 or 3A and building the community? I can tell you, since I've been there, Penguin's parent community has dropped significantly. No one wants to be there for activities anymore. I'm a walker. I hate walking to school because I never know what we're going to encounter when we get there. The area is already overcrowded. It is population dense. No one is following traffic laws and issues. Everyone wants to get out of there. It causes a lot of stress for parents. It causes stress for kids, and I can't imagine what it would be like if we added on to the school and increased volumes. Thank you.
Laura Rebar, I'm a Penguin parent. I also have a stepdaughter in high school who went to Penguin as well. When she was there, she had 4 classrooms in many of her grades. My son now in second grade has 7. The difference in this class size has tremendously changed his experience and our experience as a family in the Penguin community. I really came to this recently and just heard about these options of 1 and 3A, and I was appalled. My son already said, of course, that they can't run at recess when they're on the blacktop. This has been repeated multiple times. We're already too big. There's not enough space, and we do appreciate, though, the 15 minutes of the recess time, the extra time. Thank you so much.
Rosa Sirota.
Rosa Sirota Winwood, not Penwin. However, my grandson attended Penwin School, and at that time it was a vibrant, active community, as it is now. And there are always problems with that school outside. It was always crowded on the outside. I can't imagine what it is now. I cannot imagine it. It was impossible to drive up the street when the buses were coming out, when the children were coming out. I thank the Penwin neighbors for a exciting, thoughtful presentation. And here's my suggestion. Listen to them. They live in that community. They know what it's like. We all know what the schools in our immediate community are like. If you don't live in that community, I am sorry, but you don't know what the schools are like. You may get a better understanding if you go stand out there in the morning, and if you go stand out there at the end of the school day and you see the students coming and going. Certainly with Lower Merion High School, it's the same thing, but listen to them. Secondly, a lot of folks wanted to speak this evening. Some people didn't have enough to express everything they wanted to say. I am going to suggest that when we have a committee where the goings-on of that committee are incredibly relevant to the time, like right now, the Facilities and Operations Committee, have that meeting in the evening when parents, residents are available to come and hear what is happening. I don't know how many people at home are watching this. I watch them when I don't get here, but I don't know how folks putting their children to bed, getting ready for the next day and going to work are able to do that. I am suggesting that these really relevant committee meetings be held in the evening. That's an inconvenience to you, I know that, but I think you'll find it worth the inconvenience. Thank you very much.
thank you for the comments, particularly from folks from Penwyn. I am a Penwyn resident, proudly, so I want to make sure I get that on record so folks don't assume that no one on the school board is from the community. The option that was presented in facilities, as noted by Mr. Driscoll, and Mr. Copeland will follow up as well, was a literally real time. I spoke to Mr. Meyer today by phone, real time, that we shared with the Penwyn folks, the Civic, to let you know what we were thinking about, having taken into strong consideration the comments and concerns around maintaining the green space. And so, again, very preliminary. In my opinion, as I shared with Mr. Meyer, this is somewhat premature given that the board has not made any formal deliberations in terms of next steps. To the point around evening meetings, we've had a number of public work sessions. In fact, last month we had one specifically where we talked about Penwyn and the kinds of decisions we'll need to make in the very near future. Penwyn and other schools, again, we're a district of 10 schools, not one. And so I just want to go on record saying that on behalf of the board, we're very mindful of the issues. I think everyone on at this board table at some point have had kids in the district or currently have kids across all levels. So we certainly share those concerns. We appreciate the feedback. I welcome any comments via community comments. There were a number of electronic files sent to Ms. LaPera earlier. The board has had an opportunity to take a look at those as well. So again, we are certainly taking all of that into consideration. There are a number of meetings coming up, evening meetings around finance, and we will have additional public work sessions to consider, again, the long-term needs of the district with Penwyn in mind, but also the other 9 schools in the district. So with that, did I say enough? Okay, all right. So with that, I will have the report of the Sunshine Act from Mr. Roos.
Thank you. Board did meet in executive session last Monday, March 13th, to discuss the real estate and labor negotiations, and met in executive session tonight to discuss labor negotiations and a labor management matter grievance. Also, just a slight correction to the minutes from the February 13th meeting that Ms. LaPera and I just picked up on. I was actually here from Mr. Pearlstein. It was not Mr. Christofko. So if there's no objection, she can make that change.
Thank you, Mr. Roos. Upcoming meeting dates, the board will meet Monday, April 17th, Education Committee meeting, April 24th, regular business board meeting. There are a number of finance meetings coming up as well, as I noted before. The Communications Committee meeting, as noted by Ms. Ackman, Wednesday, March 22nd, 8:30 a.m. Wednesday, March 29th, 8:30 a.m. Finance and Operations, including Facilities and Transportation. Wednesday, April 5th, 8:30 a.m. Curriculum. Also Wednesday, April 5th, 7 p.m. Finance, Curriculum, and Instruction. So we'll have specific finance meetings dedicated to a particular topic. In this case, will be Curriculum and Instruction. Friday, April 7th, Policy, 8:30 a.m. Thursday, April 20th, Facilities and Purchasing, also 8:30 a.m. Wednesday, April 26th, 8:30 a.m. Finance, Staffing, including Enrollment Impact and Class Size and Technology. Wednesday, April 26th, 7 p.m. Communications, and Thursday, April 27th, 7 p.m. Legislative. So again, thank you for coming out. We are adjourned.